Hi friends, host Eric here, host Talking with Famous People. I'm responding to Trenton here, who wanted me to watch this video debate in which Jordan Peterson debates these, or participates in a group discussion about transgenderism, rights, freedom of speech, tolerance, stuff like that. I mean, Trent says he wants me to watch the video and do a live analysis of it while I'm watching it. Here's the thing I have about this kind of stuff. It's like, it doesn't really matter what they say. It doesn't really matter what they say. Hi, Susie.
Hi.
Because it's going to fall into one variety or another category of argument. I've already parsed out the issue entirely. I don't need to hear other people argue it out, really. I can tell you exactly why it's not okay to either compel legally or even to suggest that socially one ought have a moral obligation or kindness obligation to use the pronoun of choice of the person to whom you're speaking. I've explained it before. I don't know what Jordan Peterson says about it. I don't know what anybody else says about it because I operate basically in isolation. I should watch this stuff, I guess, but I don't. I never have. So here's the answer, though. And it goes like this. If you ask me to call you Bob, then I should call you Bob. If that's the name you want to go by, it is perfectly reasonable of you to expect me to use the proper first name that you choose. Why? Because I expect the same courtesy. And everybody does. We all know that there might be somebody who's named Robert who prefers to be called Bob. If he voices that preference and you insist on calling him Robert, then at a certain point it becomes actively disrespectful. Those who are in favor of requiring in some way, socially or legally, other people to use the pronoun of choice of the person to whom they are speaking will take that reality that I just described and deduce from it that therefore the same thing should apply to pronouns. Except that's not the case, and here's why. While your name is a direct address, a pronoun is a reference. In other words, if I say, Bob left her glasses here, I'm using her to refer to Bob. I'm using the name that Bob prefers to be called by because I respect the fact that direct address is different than reference. Now, when I directly refer to Bob, I call Bob Bob. If we both know who Bob is, I might never use a gendered pronoun at all. Regardless, I'm referring to something that is an identity distinct from other identities in the world that needs to be given a unique tag. Now, Bob's not the most unique tag in the world, but within a given circle of people, it might be unique enough and the reference might be obvious enough that there's no need to further articulate which Bob. However, when I use a pronoun, I am not referring to the individual's identity as they define it. I'm referring to the individual's identity as I perceive it. So while Bob is the agreed upon tag for that identity, and it would be disrespectful of me to go against the express wishes of that individual that I use a given tag to refer to them directly or to address them directly, it's an entirely different matter to then make the leap to claim that I have some sort of obligation to perceive that individual's gender differently. Pronouns refer to my perception of the person's gender. If I perceive you as a woman and I use female pronouns for you, that's my prerogative. Why is because to presume otherwise, to say that, for example, I have some sort of obligation to perceive you as you wish to be perceived is to misunderstand the nature of perception, for one thing, and it's to misunderstand the nature of normative claims. If you're making a claim about, I've heard people say, if you know somebody wants you to use the gendered pronoun in their favor and you choose not to, you're just intentionally being an asshole. No, I'm intentionally being honest about my perceptions of the person. If I perceived them as a female, I would use female pronouns. If I don't perceive them as one, I won't. And to do otherwise would be dishonest. It would be dishonest, and it would also be allowing myself to be subject to narrative bullying. Just because somebody is not a natural fit with conventional norms, as transgender people are. They're not a conventional fit with traditional norms. That doesn't mean that we have to change our perceptions. It may be that our perceptions will change over time, and that over time I will come to perceive transgender people as the gender they wish to be perceived as. But it'll probably be on a case-to-case basis. And I'll probably never conclude logically that physical alteration of the body to change your biological sex is a well or optimal or desirable manifestation of self. Each of us is an entity that is both a metaphysical being and a physical being. And part of our metaphysical ontological process is coming to terms with our physical bodies, in whatever capacity they may disappoint us or please us. I'm happy to be tall. I wish I were a little fatter or something, because I'm really skinny. I'm 6'4.5", and I'm 165 pounds. That's pretty skinny. But I got some muscles on me, right? Not much in the pectoral area, though. I'm an A cup. Anyway, the point is understanding ourselves as a whole being that is both animal and God. What it means to be human is to be both animal and God. To be both subject and king. To be both sovereign and indentured. A lot of people talk about paradoxes as a means to wisdom, even though they provide no real linguistic resolution. The paradox is this here. If I'm a transgendered person, I am fighting for the primacy of my subjective ontological legitimizing processes over applying a universal standard. And yet, if I'm also a transgender person who supports legislation to compel people to use preferred pronouns, or supports even social pressure to do so, then I am a hypocrite, because there is nothing respectful about the legitimate ontological processes of me if by your trying to compel me to perceive you as you'd like to be perceived, or alternately hijack the natural processes of expression so as to pretend I perceive you differently when using pronouns. All individuals need to reflect on the golden rule and the platinum rule, and how the platinum rule is very often not better than the golden rule. Transgender people wouldn't want to be treated as they're treating me if they're trying to compel me to use their preferred pronouns, because they wouldn't want me to say, well, I want you to perceive men as superior to women and call me sir. Well, that would be quite an ontological invasion upon their legitimate identity, right? Well, of course it would, because it would be presumptuous of me to think that I ought to control their perceptions based on my values. Anyway, this is my response. There you go, Trent. I made the video. I made the response without watching that thing. Did they make arguments that I haven't heard yet? Probably, maybe. I don't know, but it's such a long video, and I already have the answer. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that sort of stuff. It's like, this is the problem with me wanting to watching Jordan Peterson a bunch. He is arguing on my side. I agree with him completely. So why do I have? What's the point of watching him? You know, he might help me refine some of these arguments, but I've been fucking working this shit for 2 years against all comers on the internet. I've had a million dumb liberal college kids with more education than sense, come in here and try to tangle, you know? And I made short work of them all. So, you know, I respect the guy. I want to see him in action more. I'll probably watch this for entertainment purposes. But as far as responses go, I made this video a long time ago about why you can't use transgender, why we ought not try to compel others to use pronouns of our own choosing. I already made this video. I made it 2 years ago or something like that. But unlike Jordan Peterson's, mine didn't get 1 million views. So I don't know. You know, is his answer the same? I guess I should watch it and find out. Regardless, I appreciate the fact that you guys, a lot of different people are engaging me with this guy's material, and I will continue to watch suggested videos, little bits of it at least, and I will continue to see what there is to see, and I'm no doubt that I will learn stuff from the guy and refine a few things. Though so far I haven't encountered anything to go up against, really, so it's kind of, you know, there's nothing to contrast. I can't say, well, I'm not, there's not like this hatery need in me to go, well, here's where he's wrong, or try to find things to contrast against necessarily, because I get it. I could tell right away in the first video, the guy's a meta-rational. He understands that his understanding process is itself and manifestation of self, and thus is subject to the same can't have it all rules that every other thing is subject to. Anyhow, thanks for watching Talking with Famous People. The actual song for this channel is Talking with Famous People. Jordan Peterson, I would like it if you'd watch my videos. That'd be nice. I'll try to watch more of yours.